The righteous anger of the oppressed has been the engine of social progress for generations. When our anger leads to collective action, we manifest political miracles. And that is why I'm always saying that social progress is often won by a few ordinary, organized, outraged people. But there's this pervasive idea out there that our emotions in general, let alone anger, can't be trusted. You hear people say things all the time like, oh, you're in your feelings, or we need to make decisions out of reason and not emotion. And while there's truth that our emotions can mislead us, they can also point to the truth. That's why the powers that be are deeply invested in these counter-revolutionary strategies that one sociologist, Brian Martin, calls outrage management. Now, I use Martin's framework to examine the specific tactics the white world uses to suppress outrage about racism in my book, which we don't have time to do here, but I will highlight one cultural weapon many are familiar with, the trope of the angry black person. So growing up in Stone Mountain, Georgia, I experienced some subtle and overt forms of racism. For instance, one of my neighbors, they referred to my family by the N-word. He even pulled a shotgun on my older brother for walking our dog through the neighborhood. So I noticed that black people were treated differently in this society. But I didn't have access to my rage about racism because I knew that if I displayed anger about what I knew about the world, I wouldn't be taken seriously. So the one thing I desperately wanted to avoid was being labeled angry. I spent so long masking my anger about racism that I actually convinced myself that it wasn't there. And guess what? In those years that I believed that I had no black rage, I wasn't involved in the movement for black freedom. And that illustrates the point that I'm making, that the powers that be know very well that anger is a revolutionary emotion. They know that an angry population may very well become an active population. Of course, the recipe for social progress requires more than anger, and I talk about the other ingredients in the book, but the value of righteous anger among the oppressed for social progress deserves to be stated. Can you imagine what kind of world we'd have if black people weren't angry? Can you imagine if Queen Nanny of the Maroons and Toussaint Louverture or Fannie Lou Hamer or James Baldwin or Kwame Ture or Angela Davis weren't angry? Why, we'd be worse off than we are right now. So I honor black rage. I don't want to live in a perpetual state of outrage, but I still honor our emotions, which are basically intuition, as vital participants with our intellect and our instincts in a holistic system of knowledge. Anger tells us something isn't right here, and that's valuable information that can lead us on a constructive, transformative path.